first in a... So hopefully see if we get this going. Alrighty. It looks pretty good so far. I decided to switch over from Twitch Studio to this, what is this? This Streamlabs OBS. It looks pretty good. Looks alright. This is just a test stream that I'll be doing for a little while. I'm going to run some non-copyright 80s sounding music through here. And then we'll be able to determine whether that'll play, because I set up all of the options to play music like that. But even if it doesn't play, basically I still have some content for this video. I'm not going to be streaming anything online like I did in the last few days. Not going to be writing any stories. Not going to be, going through YouTube or anything like that. This is just a test to see if the music will work, and if this is a good enough format that I could probably come back and do different things with this from here on out. So let me play the music. Let me make sure that works. And I'll just keep that like as lowish as I can in the background, because obviously I don't want to be... Alright, the mic audio seems to be pretty good. The alert box is activated. Okay. Well, let's jump into it then. This is basically a very cut and dry video today. I just wanted to talk about two of my favorite, recently favorite, horror icons. Or at least, they're not exactly horror icons. I'd say that they're more like villains, in my humble opinion. I would consider them the Freddy and Jason of today's modern horror films. That's the Collector, villains known as the Collector, and Chromeskull. Now, the Collector, and I brought movies, so I'd be able to show you guys, with like reference and whatnot. The Collector was in these two films, The Collector and The Collection. See that? And basically, The Collector and The Collection, the first one movie is about this dude. And he's a thief, and he plans on stealing from this rich family or whatever the shit. So the night that he plans to steal, I guess, money out of their safe or some shit, he goes into their house and discovers that their entire house has been booby-trapped, and everyone's actually been trapped inside. So his mission actually becomes stealing from the house. It switches over to saving the family inside, and basically he ends up confronting this dude called the Collector, who's basically the serial killer who sets up like these weird traps and shit. And it ends up being revealed later on that he like takes people, kind of captures them like bugs, sews them together and shit in like big ass tubes and stuff. He collects body parts and turns people into like, I guess like bugs, like when people capture bugs and they put them in glass and they just kind of preserve them and they're all weird. He does that, like he cuts up people. He's a sick fuck. And you end up it turns out that he's a, fuck is it called? No one knows who he is, but like the main character in the first one is the thief. He ends up making like after the first movie he ends up surviving, but I don't think you know if he survives or not. By the way, spoilers galore. This is for anyone who's either seen the movies or, I know I got bad timing with that, but what do you want? He basically just ends up, the main character, I can't remember what the fuck his name is. Literally, these movies, I love them, but the problem is that I feel like their main characters are kind of forgettable at certain parts. Like, the main character of the first one is pretty cool, but I can't remember his name for the life of me. I'm just going to call him the thief. So, the thief ends up, you think he dies to him. The Collector in the first film doesn't. In the second film, the Collector, I think, kills way more people. Now, funny thing about the second Collector film, I forget which one is first. I think the Collector is first, and then the Collection is the sequel, because I used to get that mixed up. And basically, in the Collection, I remember seeing a long time ago this trailer where a bunch of people go to this nightclub, and then the nightclub just kind of closes in and kills them. Like, there's weapons and shit all over the place, and they lure like fucking like 30, 40 people into this room, and then everyone just starts getting like torn to shit. And that was the collection film, and it's one of the most really sick scene. People get crushed to death, shredded to death. Like, imagine you're just in a nightclub bowling on the dance floor, and then this giant fucking meat grinder just comes down on top of you. Like, yikes. So, the Collector is essentially like this genocidal maniac, I guess. And at the ending of the second film, he actually ends up being captured, tortured, and presumably killed by one of his most recent victims in the second film, and the main character thief guy from the first one who escaped him. And apparently he's really pissed at him because the Collector shoved a knife like right through his head, and it went like, you think it went through his head, it turns out it just went like through one cheek and out the other. So this dude is like trying to get like crazy revenge on him. So what happens at the ending of the second one is he finds out who the Collector is, and he turns out it's some guy whose father worked at a hospital or some kind of place, and his father like ingested a lot of like chemicals and drugs, and it fucked him up. So then his father like tortured his son, and then his son grew up to become the Collector. Cool backstory, but this is the other crazy thing. You never see the Collector's face, even when you hear his voice, like when he's not in his getup, because his mask is like, I guess it's like a foam plastic fucking thing that looks like it was wrapped a bunch of times around his neck, but there's like, it's like tied around his head, and all you could see is like two little like holes, and then like a little thing for the mouth. Really very original mask, very creepy. But it's cool because in hand-to-hand combat they make it like they make it like the Collector's just fucking like unstoppable. But it's cool because in the ending of the second, like I said, the thief from the first one comes back, turns out he's alive, kicks the Collector's ass, puts his ass in a trunk that he himself got locked in. The thief got locked in by the Collector. And then it shows him and the main character of the second film driving out, and they both basically essentially torture the Collector until they eventually kill him. So I was happy about that. I'm like, at least he got killed. And that's essentially the Collector. The thing that I like about the Collector and Chromeskull is that there's nothing supernatural here. It's all just serial killers going balls out. Now, Chromeskull, in my opinion, has a far more intriguing story. It has a way cooler payoff, I think. And in it, it's essentially about this dude. His name is Chromeskull. And the first film really follows this girl who's escaping from this dude who's trying to kill her, and that is Chromeskull. But the thing about Chromeskull is he wears all black, has a mask that's a chrome skull. It's all like metal, silver, whatever. And the thing that makes Chromeskull different is that he actually has a camera mounted on his shoulder, like a mini webcam, I don't know. Yeah, like a webcam mounted on his shoulder. And he records everyone he kills. And I forget if it gets revealed in the first film or the second film, but what you end up finding out is that Chromeskull is not just one person. It is an organization, like a small organization. I think it's maybe about 6 people, that poses this serial killer called Chromeskull, who basically make I guess snuff films recording the kills and shit. And it's pretty cool because who is this? Hey Zach, how you doing? Sorry, I got so involved in the video I didn't get a chance to give you a shout out. That's weird. Why didn't the alert go off? That's weird. Maybe it did and I just wasn't paying attention. Huh. But anyways, Chromeskull, he's an organization. He's about 6 people, and all of them kill people, film it, sell the film, whatever. And they all, I think it's in the second one or the ending of the first one, they all meet like in like a warehouse. And what you eventually get to the second Chromeskull film, you eventually put together that the dude who is Chromeskull, who is the acting Chromeskull at that moment in time, like in the first film and second film, he is kind of at odds with this dude who wants to be the new Chromeskull, and the two of them kind of have like this not even a rivalry, like the one dude just wants to straight usurp him and become the new Chromeskull. And there's like I remember, I'm pretty sure Chromeskull's got like a wife and kids and shit, and I think he, in the first film or something, somebody dumps acid on his face and he becomes all like fucked up. And it's funny because it really gets rid of any kind of like looking at him in any sort of human-ish way. Like there's no humanity to him. He's straight just like a mad serial killer. And in the second film, I believe the second dude who works with him, who wants to become the new Chromeskull and kill him off, he does end up killing his rival, and the dude who is essentially the main Chromeskull, I think his organization gets wiped out. I'm not sure, and he ends up becoming like the only one left, and he's got like a fucked up face, so he keeps the mask on and all that. But it's just really freaky. I was just going to show you some pictures here for a second. This is supposed to be that's the Collector facing the other way. I know it sucks. I wish they would have shown him with his face forward, but and then here's Chromeskull. It's Chromeskull and then Chromeskull 2, Laid to Rest. Oh, sorry, no, it's Laid to... Isn't it Laid to Rest? Yeah, it's Laid to Rest is the name of the film. And then it's Laid to Rest 2, Chromeskull. And I need to see if they made any more of these, because this was actually very good. All four of these films were very good. Also, something I found funny about them is because there's a lot of parallels between them. In my opinion, they're both completely underrated movies about creative masked serial killers. They both have one sequel, and they're both, I don't know, I could always see them, I could always picture them doing like a crossover of some kind. But basically, that is actually what I'm here to discuss today, is who would win, the Collector or Chromeskull. Who'd kick whose ass. So, but getting right down to the meat and potatoes of it, I would have to say Chromeskull, only because by the end of his second film, Chromeskull in Laid to Rest 2 is, I think he survives. I think he's pretty much fine. Nothing happens to him. Whereas the Collector at the ending of his film actually ends up getting captured by past victims, tortured, and killed. Presumably. He's presumably killed. And I think it's just very cut and dry, to be completely honest, because the Collector, in my opinion, is kind of like the Batman of serial killers. His key... The key to his success is prep time. If he could set up a building or a warehouse or a regular house with booby traps and all this shit, then yeah, he can get to you and he can knock you off before you get to him. Like he's basically like Kevin McAllister on crack. Like he could basically, like, imagine, I'd like to see that movie, The Collector in place of Kevin McAllister for Home Alone. Like literally the second Marv or whatever walks through the door, like a fucking like lawnmower would like fall from the ceiling into his face and just shred his fucking shit to pieces. It'd be sweet. Shit, we should put that. I should put that in a horror movie. Some dude walks into a house, tries to invade a house, and a lawnmower comes down. Just like in that Leprechaun movie. Leprechaun 2, 3, 4? I don't even know. Anyways. Yeah, when it comes to Chromeskull versus the Collector, Chromeskull is definitely more resilient, I think. And maybe that could just be blamed on how the movie was made, just to make him more elusive, I guess. I mean, he can be harmed. It's clear that Chromeskull and the Collector are humans. They can be hurt. They do get hurt. But the Chromeskull, I'm surprised he even survives like the whole usurping attempt by his rival. And when it comes to the two of them, I believe the Collector is more, like I said, he's more at home when he has like weapons and shit backing him up, and he's able to make booby traps. Whereas Chromeskull is just kind of like he's like Jason Voorhees. He's like, I'm gonna hunt you down and I'm gonna cut you into pieces, and he's gonna do it himself while the camera's rolling. While he records it, which is definitely interesting. I definitely think that out of the Collector and out of Chromeskull, I definitely have to say Chromeskull is just more, I guess, more unique. Because I know the Collector and the Collection films were made fun of kind of for being kind of like Saw. But if you actually watch the films, they're not really like Saw. Literally, the only thing that's the same is that he booby traps places. But he doesn't really booby trap like warehouses and shit. Like the first one he booby traps a house. The second one he booby traps, a nightclub, like an abandoned nightclub. And then once you see like where he keeps the bodies and what he does to his bodies and everything, you're just like, this is like Saw times 10. Like what he ends up doing to the people afterwards. Because he doesn't just like, he's not like judging them or anything. He's literally creating an environment where he can get all these people either killed, mangled, or it's literally like he's just trying to get body parts. And if he could get full torsos or pieces of torsos or whatever, that he can go and he could turn into like his art sculpture things. He basically tries to turn people into like, I guess, human-ish looking bugs that then he like puts on display. Hence the Collector, and that's his collection. Whereas Chromeskull is just a straight, just I'm gonna murder you, put it on film and sell it type of dude. He's just very, very more straightforward. His motives are more like this dude. At least the Collector's got like, he's like kind of fucked up. Whereas Chromeskull is just does it because it's fucking fun, because he enjoys it. I'm also pretty sure he has a pregnant wife in the second film, and after they tell her that her husband is Chromeskull, I think she like kills herself in the police station. Really fucked up shit. But I definitely think it'd be cool to see Chromeskull crossover with the Collector. I mean, hey, if you wanted him to die in the ending of this one, I don't know, you could do like maybe you could either bring him back, you could retcon the ending of it, of the Collector, and you could maybe because he escapes. Chromeskull escapes in the ending of the second one, in his second film. So Chromeskull's open. You could have them come across each other, and maybe an idea for a crossover film. The Collector's like escaped to another town, posing as a new serial killer or something like that. I don't know. And then the thief, right? The thief from the first two comes after him, and then maybe the Collector's trying to lie low or whatever, and then Chromeskull rolls into town. And he's like maybe trying to take over. I don't know. Not sure how it would go, but yeah, definitely think it would be a cool idea. But excuse me a sec, I just got a text. Weird. But yeah, these are probably my two favorite serial killers in cinema at the moment, which is weird considering these movies came out a while ago. When I say a while ago, I probably mean like late 2010s, I'm pretty sure. I mean, like, what is this? The Collection came out 2012. And The Collector came out in 2009. Chromeskull 1, or Laid to Rest, came out in can't I find it? 2009. Look at that. This came out the same year as The Collector. And then Laid to Rest 2 came out in 2011. So, looks like they were quicker to create the Chromeskull sequel than they were to create the Collector sequel. But, in my opinion, all four of the films are fantastic. Why not another horror mashup? Why not? I got time. It's only like 1:06 in the morning. I'm not doing anything. I just gotta turn around to my my little list thing. It's basically a shelf. It's a shelf of horror films. Let's see. Maybe this one and this one. Alrighty. Okay, how about this matchup? Tell me what you think of this one. Chucky versus The Exorcist. Now, this one's probably going to be very easy. So, you know what's funny, actually? I've always wanted to mention this about this Child's Play cover. Whenever I used to see this as a kid, I used to be so scared because I felt so bad for that Jack in the Box. Whenever I saw this, I was like, Chucky, that son of a bitch. You know, I felt so bad for him. About to be beheaded. Poor little guy. Anyways, Chucky versus The Exorcist. I'm pretty sure most of you would have an idea of who wins. See, because out of the two of these, I've never seen... Oh, my bad. I've never seen The Exorcist. It's mirrored. I have no sense of right and left on this. I never in my life have ever seen The Exorcist. Maybe I'll stream it one day. Me watching it, maybe. First live reaction. Because I always hear people talking about how horrific The Exorcist is. And how terribly, horribly, how much it like fucked them up as a kid. And I'm like, you know what? I really need to see this film. So, putting that off to the side. Chucky, on the other hand, I was fucking petrified of Chucky for most of my childhood. I would not go into Spencer's Gifts if I knew they had a Chucky doll up on a shelf in there. You remember the Living Dead dolls? You ever see the Living Dead dolls they used to have in Virgin Records? I would refuse to go down aisles with Living Dead dolls. Chucky basically fucked me up when it came to dolls. I just refused to even go near them. I refused to, be associated in any way with them. And then these two films came out and changed my perspective of Chucky completely. Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky completely reshaped my feelings towards cursed dolls. Before, they were a subject I wouldn't have even touched. I was so petrified of them. After Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, I loved it. Chucky ended up becoming my fucking favorite film franchise. And it's funny because when I was living back in Florida, we used to go to this place. It's called Downtown Disney. It's essentially like this big ass... It's like an outside shopping mall. But there's just giant, so many things. There's the Lego store out there. They have Lego, Lego sculptures like in the water of like serpents and shit. They have like this megadome. It's like this giant arcade place. It's like 3 stories high. They got like VR stuff in there. They had VR in there before VR was like super big. So much shit in there. And we used to go to the Virgin Records over there a lot because my father loves music. And when we went, there was it's probably still there. I do want to go back one day. Probably going to Florida within the next, maybe this year or next year. We'll see how the coronavirus thing goes. But essentially, whenever we used to go to the Virgin Records in downtown Disney in Florida, it's in Florida, by the way, there'd be this upstairs section. It would be like the top floor. You need to take either a big-ass escalator it might be smaller than I remember because I was a kid last time I was there, so I probably remember things being much bigger than they actually were. But on the top floor, all the way in the back right corner, there's kind of like this circle, and then there's like this circle thing, and you could look down, and around like this little turnabout, it's all magazines. The whole thing is just magazines galore. And I have two really tight memories from being there. First memory was every time we would go there and my family would go check out the magazines, I would go and I would read the newest Fangoria magazines. And I love Fangoria. And what's funny is Fangoria advertised Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky because they were talking about like the breakthrough animatronics and robotics that they were doing for both these films and the CGI and whatnot. So when I read about Fangoria, because I loved Fangoria, you'd open up Fangoria and it was just a straight picture of someone like torn open and like their shit hanging out. And I was so it was like yikes! Like I got really fascinated into like gore and horror when I was living in Florida, and it was mainly thanks to Fangoria magazine, which, like I said, Fangoria magazine appears in Seed of Chucky, and it's funny because Chucky's actually reading it to jack off in the film. If you haven't seen any of these films, by the way, watch these fucking films. These are the greatest movies ever. I still need to get the rest of my friend group to watch Seed of Chucky. Because I saw Bride of Chucky. In my opinion, Seed of Chucky... Everyone paying Seed of Chucky. I thought Seed of Chucky was piss your pants hilarious. I fucking love that movie. That's how horror movies should be. They should be, like, a little funny. Like, just batshit crazy. Like, no one... I doubt they're ever going to make Chucky films like these ever again. They're never going to happen again. They should have had a third one, to tell you the truth. I mean, you have the original trilogy, you know, and you have Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, and then they immediately skip to, you know, that the modern films like Curse and Cult, and I hope they don't leave it off on like 2s anymore. They should have made them in like succession, like 3. They should have made them like groups of trilogies. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. So that was my first best memory of downtown Disney's Virgin Records in Florida, is reading about Chucky, and basically my whole fear of him in the series just got completely lifted. And then the second memory I have is being in Virgin Records in the downtown Disney, and they had the GameCube. They had the GameCube set up, and it was the GameCube. Remember the King Kong movie with Jack Black that came out a bunch of years ago? It was that. It was the game of that, and it was at the scene. It was at the part where you play as like the dude with the nose. I constantly forget his name. You basically play as him. He played Dimitri in Grand Budapest Hotel. I can't remember his name for the life of me. I guess you're playing as him, or you're playing as one of the other guys, but basically you're trying to close these gates on Kong Island before a T-Rex comes through and eats your ass. And the T-Rex would always just come through, eat the guy, and me and my brother would just stand up looking at that thing, going like, the T-Rex is coming, and then it would eat you, and it would just scare the fucking shit out of me. A GameCube game scaring the fucking shit out of me. So, yeah, probably two of the best memories of that Virgin Records. I guess the third best would be us seeing the Nintendo Monopoly there, and my parents actually bought it for us, like out of the blue. We actually still have that Nintendo Monopoly. I usually always play as I usually like playing as Mario's Cap, but if I'm not able to, it's like whatever. I know way more about Nintendo now, so like I'll see Samus's piece and I'll be like, I'll choose that one. Like I know when you're like little, the only two. At least when you were my age, the only two Nintendo characters you ever saw were like Link and Mario. That's it. No one else exists. Until you grow up and you develop this appreciation for even more Nintendo mascots. But I think they also have a Donkey Kong barrel. I really like the Donkey Kong barrel. Anyways, getting back to the second point. The Exorcist versus Chucky. I think it would come down to, because I've definitely seen clips of The Exorcist, so I know it's a demon. And from there, I could pretty much assume that Regan, I think that's its name, Regan, or Regan, would probably be able to kick the shit out of Chucky, only because Regan is a demon, just a straight demon, an otherworldly, death-defying presence. Whereas Chucky's just a dude in a doll's body. And even though he's got, like, voodoo on his side, he's still, when it comes down to it, human. Especially if he's been in his body for too long, Chucky ends up becoming human. So, you know, not a lot ends up, I guess there's not much of a matchup because, you know, a demon versus a dude. Okay, look at it this way. Chucky would really only be able to defeat the demon. What's his name? Pazuzu. That's it. That's right. I know some things about the series. I'm not completely ignorant. So Pazuzu from The Exorcist would definitely be able to defeat Charles Lee Ray because, for one, Chucky I think would only be able to defeat Pazuzu if he was, you know, like in touch with Christ and would be able to like defeat him like a priest would, I guess. But Chucky's a serial killer. Not only that, he's not even Christian or Catholic or whatever the shit you need to be to defeat Pazuzu. He's like, he worships voodoo shit and voodoo gods and whatnot. Hence the putting the soul into the doll's body. So, right there, I don't think Chucky would even have the spiritual firepower to defeat Pazuzu. So, you know, I think that would be a very cut and dry battle. Mainly because, you know, it's demon versus dude who possessed a doll. Like, all Regan, yeah. All Pazuzu would need to do in order to kill Chucky would be to literally, like, I don't know, kill him. Make some kind of odd event occur. You know, that would make him, like, either kill himself or someone kill him or something to that effect. You know, it wouldn't be very hard. It'd be pretty easy, I think, in order to, knock off Chucky. I mean, hell, how many times has Pazuzu died? I don't know. I don't know anything about the Exorcist series. How many times has Chucky died? A lot. And that's not even just in the, that's not just even in the comics. That's in everything. He's died a fuck ton. Come on, you bastards. There you go. There you go. Okay. I'll just put my shit back. What is this? What else we got in here? You guys remember Shudder? You guys remember that film? Shudder, Darkwater, The Grudge, and The Ring. Back in the good old days when instead of making horror movies, America would just copy J-horror films, reshoot them, and bring them over here to America. See, now why do I have Halloween down here, but I also got Halloween up there? Oh, this is the, why is there still plastic on this? This is the Rob Zombie remake. Why don't I have the sequel? I actually kind of liked the Rob Zombie remake. Oh my god, it's broken. Well, no, the thing is broken. Not the actual disc. I didn't know this was a 2-disc special feature. That's cool, I guess. What else I got in here? Alien vs. Predator? Yeah? You ever see that film? Pretty good. You ever see the sequel? It was bad. It was bad. But it shows more aliens versus predators, so I guess it's kind of good. The Fog. Ooh, bros, I'm so happy. Check this out, check this out, check this out. Don't pull my neck out, please. Okay, this was cool. So the other day, I managed to get this little puppy on DVD over Amazon. The Fog by John Carpenter. Probably my favorite John Carpenter film of all time. In my humble opinion, is probably the best ghost movie ever. And I don't think there will ever be another one like it. Unfortunately, years ago, I asked for this film for Christmas or a birthday or some shit, and I got this. The bastard remake starring the dude from, the guy from, what's his name? The dude from, Smallville. What's his name? The TV show Smallville? Tom Welling. That's it, Tom Welling. Tom Welling is a good actor. I emphasize good, not great. But yeah, between these two, obviously the remake kicks the shit out of the, hey, I did it right this time. Out of the original kicks the shit out of the remake every time, no doubt. This film's pretty cool. This is essentially about this leper colony wanted to come onto the mainland of this island in order to settle there because they're all dying. And the founders of this town are like, yeah, leper colony, come on, no problem. And what ends up happening is they end up leading the leper colony. They all get on a ship, and they're coming on land, and as they're pulling in, the dudes on land are like, yeah, here's a light, come over here, and they lead them right onto rocks. And kill them all. Because the leper colony had gold. And the colonists, so the dudes on the island, wanted the gold on the mainland. They wanted the gold, so they decided to just take the gold from them. They're like, yeah, we'll take your gold, and then you come over and move in. They took the gold from them and then essentially led them to their deaths. And it was basically said that on the island, one day, the spirits of the leper colony would rise to take revenge on the five descendants of the five founders who led them to their deaths. And that's what the film's about. A giant ghost fog appears. There's ghosts in the fog. So fucking cool. And they essentially just hunt down five people that is supposed to represent the five descendants of those people. So basically what's cool about this film is it's very easy to survive. To survive the fog, just don't live in that fucking town. Very simple. But they live, I think it's on an island. I forget what it's called. When the fog rolls in, the terror begins. This moody and crisply chilling horror classic from Master of Terror John Carpenter and co-writer Deborah Hill stars Adrienne Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Houseman, Janet Leigh, Sleepy Seaside Village of Antonio Bay. That was it, Antonio Bay. Is about to learn the true meaning of the word vengeance, for the seemingly perfect town masks a guilty secret. A past steeped in greed and murder. Exactly 100 years ago, a ship was horribly wrecked under mysterious circumstances in a thick, eerie fog. Now, shrouded in darkness, the long-dead mariners have returned from their watery grave to exact a bloody revenge. Can this waking nightmare be stopped? No, it can't. Now, normally I don't really care about spoiling films or talking about films or anything of the sort on here. However, I am not in no way, no how going to spoil the ending of The Fog, because The Fog is a film you really need to see. Along with literally everything else that Carpenter put out. So, also, I would just like to take this moment to say that I definitely think John Carpenter had the greatest film concepts of his time. Like, I'm even going to say Ghosts of Mars. Okay, Ghosts of Mars was fucking weird. I don't think it was executed very well. As well as I'm sure that's what many people say. But Ghosts of Mars, damn, what a concept. It's like combining ghosts with space. The last time I saw supernatural and scientific combined that well in a film was in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which has nothing to do with Michael Myers, but it's about a warlock who uses technology to have a Samhain type ritual, but there's like portals involved and technology and evil gods, and it's like that blending of science fiction and supernatural horror is something that I think John Carpenter really tapped into for a while. He really started to get, like, he got involved in that. And it's just, I don't think it's something that's been really tackled as well since he attempted to do that. And for those of you who don't know, Ghosts of Mars is a pretty cool concept. It's basically about people are on Mars, and there's like a city on Mars and whatever the humans make, and they eventually find out that there were Martians. The Martians are extinct, and they essentially break into a Martian temple, and they break open like this tomb, and it basically ends up releasing the ghosts of the Martians. But the Martians are like these crazy barbarian killing machines, but they're not fighting people, they're fighting ghosts. So you can't kill them, and then they can possess you. And if they possess you, and then you get killed, they just jump bodies to another person. Like, there is literally no way to kill them. There's no way to fight them. There's no way you could win. And basically the whole film is, I think the message behind the whole film is, don't go to Mars. Either that or don't open tombs. It's a bad idea. So, definitely a very interesting concept. Definitely. But like I said, it's cool because it's kind of like Doom meets, like, I don't know, an original-ish concept. Because, I don't know, I just love the whole, I love, in recent years, I've been getting into the whole Space Marines thing. Like, I was never a big fan of Doom or Halo or any of that. But in recent years, after reading a lot of John Carter and Michael Moorcock's Kane of Old Mars, I've really been getting into it. I've really started to like the concept of, all that stuff. But, to be totally honest, I think that's going to do it for this stream. Time to go back and check if, if this is scratchy, if this is glitchy, if it looks weird, if the music plays. Because I've had free use, non-copyright, 80s music playing. This is my vibe. I would also like to introduce all of you to my, that's the wrong direction, my little sprite. His name is Fizzy. He's a Bubble Ranger from a video game concept that I worked on a while ago. It's a concept for a side-scroller that'll probably never come into fruition. But I figured I'd put it on here anyway, advertise it a little bit, show off my graphic design skills. And, well, I hope y'all had a good time talking about horror films and whatnot. And I guess I'll see y'all next time. Bye.